Hey, when you were a beginner, they told you to be castling short early, right? But guess what? You are not going to be doing that anymore. So in this video, I'm gonna show you why most strong players and grandmasters don't even give a damn about that rule. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you a new rule that says always look out for tactics, combinations, and traps if your opponent castles early. Trap number 1. This may happen after white plays pawn to e4 on move 1. Then here you go pawn to e5, knight f3, knight c6 defending our pawn, bishop c4, eyeballing the weak f7 pawn, then we play bishop c5. This is called the Gyoko piano and I have a lot of videos on this defense. Now here you will see a lot of your opponents playing pawn to d3. That's the first indication that they may want to play bishop g5 in the near future. So instead of playing pawn to d6, just give them what they want, play knight to f6. This is how we begin setting traps. Anyways, white castles short. Now that's what I'm talking about. So you just play d6. The best that white can do here is to play pawn to c3, but you're going to see them playing bishop g5. However, since we have not castled short yet, there is another option of breaking this pin. This is when we start looking for traps, you guys. So we start with pawn to h6. Chasing this bishop away from our territory, bishop h4, then we go g5. This is one benefit of not castling early, because we always have an option to castle long if we want. So bishop g3 by white, then right here, even though there are quite a number of moves that black can play, such as pawn to a5, bishop g4, queen e7, castle short. I mean, the key move that I want you guys to remember here is h5, which looks very impossible at first sight because we are giving up this pawn. Yep, we don't care because if white foolishly takes our g5 pawn, we now go pawn to h4, trapping white's dark squared bishop on g3, and you may think knight takes f7, which folks, two of our big pieces, is very scary, but this is what you guys didn't know. You can completely sacrifice your queen by taking the pawn on g3. Please note that the f-pawn cannot take on g3 cause our Gyoko piano bishop on c5 is doing a great job of pinning it to the king. And if knight takes d8, which you will see most of the times, the move that you always need to remember is bishop g4 once your queen gets captured. If you don't play this move, forget about it, you will lose the game and begin insulting me in the comment section down below, which is not good. So you will see your opponents going queen d2, and that's when you can go knight d4. Look at this deadly attack which is coming. For example, if h takes g3, we can even play knight f3 check. If g takes f3, we simply take with a bishop. There is absolutely nothing that white can do to get rid of our light squared bishop or to stop the mate which is coming right here on h1. Absolutely nothing. So it'll be like a mate in 4 from here. Instead of h takes g3, white may also try something like pawn to h3, but that can be met with knight e2 check. White must give up the queen, otherwise a forced checkmate will follow up. For example, if king h1, we simply sacrifice on h3. If pawn takes, there is a mate after bishop f3 check. So the best that white can do is just to simply take the knight on e2, after which we take back with bishop attacking the rook on f1, e.g. rook e1 by white is already a blunder because of pawn takes on f2 check while attacking the rook on e1. And by the way, there's a mate into here. For example, if king h1 will promote into a queen with check, so white has to play something like king h2, and then we go knight g4 check. This pawn cannot capture our knight because it is pinned to the king by our rook. If king g3 the only move, that's when we promote into a queen, and that's checkmate. So you can already see how deadly this strategy is for black, which is why pawn to h3 in this position doesn't work either. So instead of h takes g3 or pawn to h3, white may also try knight c3, which is the top played move in this position, at least stopping knight e2 check. But once again, there's a mate in 7 coming after knight f3 check. We always sacrifice this knight. That's why we put it on d4. If king h1, there is a mate in 1 coming, so g takes f3 is forced, and that's when we play bishop takes f3. We do not take on h2 first because the white king will come to this square, the g2 square, making it impossible for us to capture another pawn. So that's why we begin with bishop takes f3 first, and now checkmate is unavoidable. The f2 pawn can't take our g3 pawn because there is a bishop on c5, pinning this pawn to the king. And if h takes g3, there's a mate coming with rook h1. We are also threatening to play pawn takes h2, which will be checkmate. So this is just some of the beautiful traps that you can take advantage of if your opponent castles early. And by the way, knight takes h8 is equally bad, and you won't see many players playing this move. But if it happens, the first thing to keep in mind is bishop takes f2 check. If rook takes f2, you simply take back. King takes, you go queen e7, which is the second key move in this line. With queen e7, the plan is very simple. Just to go queen h7, that's all you need to remember. If queen f3, you can go knight d4 attacking the queen. Queen g3, knight g4 check. If king e1, we have knight takes on c2, winning the rook on a1. And if king g1, the white queen falls. Again, after knight takes h8, bishop takes f2, check, rook takes, pawn takes, check. Instead of king takes, they may also go king h1, or you just simply go queen e7. If queen f3, this knight is doing a great job of stopping white's queen from occupying any of these squares. Together with the light squared bishop, you can still go knight d4. They will take your pawn, and then you simply go knight g4 again. The plan is very simple. If queen f7 check, or just take the queen. Bishop takes, one of white's pieces here will fall. So this is not a position that white can play. Position here is about negative 2.5 in favor of black. Once again, after knight takes h8 and bishop takes, they may not even take the bishop right away. They may play something like king h1. And here are the key moves to remember. We have bishop g4 in the near future. Knight d4 is possible. But most importantly, queen e7 is the key move. So that's the move we should always start with. Given a chance, queen e7. The idea is just to go queen h7 in order to checkmate on h2. Let's say queen f3. This is a blunder because we can always play bishop g4 trapping this queen. That is if we want. If knight g6, we go queen h7. There's nothing that white can do. We are intending to checkmate on h2. But instead of going bishop g4 there, even better is to play queen h7 right away, threatening to checkmate. If h3, we are always looking forward to sacrificing our light squared bishop, intending to do a discovery check next, plus winning white's queen. They can play bishop f7 check, so that if you go king d8, they then take your knight with check. But here you can just go king d7. And on the next move, you'll be able to win the white queen. This is check. You go queen h2 next. You take the free knight. There's just a lot of traps that you can apply here, including other lines that I haven't even covered. So knight takes h8 here is not the solution at all. Oh, hit that like button, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. And don't forget to subscribe if at all you haven't already. Not to mention that my courses are still 71% off. You can take advantage of this new year discount offer before the prices go back to normal. The link for my website is in the description down below where you can purchase my courses. Alright. Now let me show you the same strategy with white pieces. Why you should always look out for tactics, combinations and traps whenever you see your opponent castling short early. So you go pawn to e4, then e5, knight f3, knight c6 defending the pawn or normal moves, bishop c4 the Italian game, then black responds with bishop c5, which is called the Gioco Piano, the quiet game or the silent game. So instead of playing pawn to d3, which we saw in the last game, I recommend you go pawn to c3, which is more standard, simply controlling the d4 and the c4 square, very important. Here you will see black playing knight to f6, which is the top played move, attacking your pawn on e4, which is undefended. So simply play pawn to d3, defending this pawn. This is officially known as the Gioco Pianissimo, a very silent game or a very quiet game. Pawn to d6 is by far the top played move in this position, paving way for the light squared bishop. That's what black has done. So here I just recommend you go bishop b3. This is a prophylactic move, and another reason why we play bishop b3 is to give black one more chance of rushing with the move bishop b4, which is the top played move in the Lichess database. Whenever you see this, it is time for you to start your kingside pawn storm with pawn to h3. they'll go bishop h5, still maintaining the pin on the knight to our queen. Now wait a second, you don't have to be greedy with pawn to g4 right here. Why you don't want to reveal your plans of not wanting to castle short by rushing to play pawn to g4 yet? At least wait for black to castle short. So that's why in this position we play knight bd2, another quiet move. The idea is just to plant our knight on g3 someday, so they will castle short, and that's what I'm talking about. Another benefit of not casting short early, because we always have an option to start our kingside pawn storm as early as we can, but queen e2 here makes more sense to hold on to our e4 pawn just in case of pawn to d5. And here, pawn to a5 and pawn to a6 are the top played moves in the Lichess database. For example, pawn to a6. Now you can start shifting all your pieces to the king side for an early attack. See that we are only doing all these things because we haven't castled short early. Pawn to h6, we go g4. Bishop g6, we go knight g3. You can already see how our attack is coming. We simply want to play g5 here. Put our king's rook on g1 to start controlling the g file. Let's say knight e7 for some reason. Or you can go knight h4. One of your knights has to sit on this juicy f5 square. If knight h7, black doesn't just have many sensible moves here. You go knight hf5. If bishop takes, even though knight takes f5 is very much possible, just play g takes f5, opening up the g file for our king's rook, and I'm sure you can now see the whole idea of not castling short early. If knight f6, rook g1, king h8 for some reason, maybe trying to run away from this pin which I have highlighted, you just go knight h5, just go for it, baby. You can already see how bad things are for black and how we are playing this game with our king on the center. We always have plans to castle long. At worst, bishop takes g8. There's just nothing that black can do. So this is just another example of why you shouldn't be castling short early, especially if you haven't completed your development. Just do the right thing, man. Avoid playing moves such as bishop g4 and bishop g5, pinning your opponent's knight on f3 or f6. Those pins don't really work. Anyways, if you want to know how to correctly castle short and at the right time, you can watch this video that has popped up in the card above, and I'm sure you'll find some similar videos right there where you will learn how and when to put your king to safety in order to avoid some of these deadly attacks and traps. Alright, so this is all for today, you guys. If at all you enjoyed watching this video, hit that like button, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. And don't forget to subscribe if at all you haven't already. Not to mention that my courses are still 71% off. You can take advantage of this new year discount offer before the prices go back to normal. The link for my website is in the description down below where you can purchase my courses. Alright, thank you for watching my video once again, and until next time.